Welcome to the AME Television Show. I'm your host, Jason Down, and we've got a very interesting show for you guys this week. Before we go into anything, go check out our website, www.theamemagazine.com. You can also find us on various social network platforms like Facebook, which is facebook.com/The AME Experience, and Twitter, which is @Dowd Studios. So our first guest is joining us through Skype, which I'm really excited about what Skype's been able to do for our television show here. We're going to be talking to Taansen Fairmont. Taansen Fairmont is a debt reduction expert. A lot of artists are in debt. You know, I know it because I've done it myself. I know what it's like. I know the grip that it can put on you. And it can keep you from being creative and trying new things and maybe even expanding your studios or whatever else that you have for equipment. Well, Taansen will show you how to get out of debt without claiming bankruptcy, and it won't hurt your credit. I'm a little intrigued about this. I'm skeptical, so he's going to tell me how he does it, and let's see if he can make a believer out of me. And hopefully you too. So let's go to Skype, talk to Taansen, and we'll be right back after. Welcome to the show, everybody. I have on the line with me a very special guest. His name is Taansen. You want to go by your first and last name or just your first name?
Taansen Fairmont is fine, yes.
All right, let me go ahead and restart this. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I have on the line with me a very special guest. His name is Taansen Fairmont. And if you're in the art field, like I am, you know that there's a lot of expensive equipment. There's a lot of things that we want to do, and sometimes we don't always get paid to do what we like to do. So therefore, we seem to rack up a lot of debt. And there's so many options out there for you if you happen to fall in those situations, and we don't want it to stifle anybody's ability to grow and do what they want to do. So Taansen's here to help us figure out how we can fix our credit and how we can get out of debt without going bankrupt, which is very important. So welcome to the show, Taansen. How are you doing today?
Thank you very kindly. Yes, so there are many, many different approaches to debt, and please understand, I think we really have a gift for one of the very best approaches. I've been through it myself, and many millions of people have tried all kinds of things. They've tried negotiation, reduction, settlement, and there are all kinds of expensive fees and lots of stress associated with that. But most people don't know there's a very much better way. It's less expensive, it's actually easier, it has less stress, and it gets rid of 100% totally all the debt without any negotiation, without any reduction, and this is called cancellation, elimination. So there is a legal way to eliminate the credit card. That means Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and even student loans, unsecured signature loans, lines of credit under any United States Federal Reserve bank, institution, lending company. Now, if you're overseas in other countries, this should be able to happen there too, but we have our system, Liberty Debt Elimination System, is based in the United States on U.S. laws. And we've never failed. We have, since 2002, been, for 15 years, providing administrative letters that basically ask the lender to show where they actually had money come out of their accounts to make the loan, where they are in compliance with Truth in Lending Act and Federal Debt Protection Practices Act and Federal Credit Reporting Act and several other laws. And please sign here under penalty of perjury that all of these things are legitimate and make the debt actually authentic and genuine. Would you believe not a single time in the entire 15 years that this has gone out to thousands of lenders from thousands of customers? Not once have they shown any of these things. What they will do is they'll write back and say, no, we still want the money, we still want you to pay it, and this is why you signed the original agreement. So we just send the same letter back with an additional sentence that says something like, did you know that a U.S. Supreme Court case said that fraud vitiates all contracts, no matter how solemn? So the original signature on your loan application is rendered null and void because the lender committed fraud. And so people are like mystified by this, and I encourage them to read books like The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. If you don't want to read it, fine, you can still cancel your debts. It's not required that, you take a course and pass an exam, go up a big learning curve. If you can just follow our simple administrative letters and it'll work. But if you want to know, if you want to understand, if you're really curious, you can read books like that. Now, there's a more collegiate one. If you're, university educated and you like to think on high intellectual levels, it's called Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullen. But the more readable one, which reads like a mystery story, it's hard to put down, page turner, is The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. And that one tells the story of 300, 400 years of banking history and how our money system developed and how they create money out of thin air. It's called credit. And you have Modern Money Mechanics of Chicago, the Federal Reserve Bank there, talks about how ours is a system of credit. So these are numbers generated out of thin air into a computer. They never loaned anything. No money came out of their accounts. They're not at harm if you don't pay it back. Now, ethically, people say, I believe in paying my bills. I'm ethical, I'm legal, I'm, moral. I believe in paying what I owe. And I do too. And I absolutely agree with you. If your mother loaned you money, you should pay it back. If your friend or a business partner loaned you money, you should pay it back. Even a local store, if they didn't outsource the paper to a financial institution, they gave you goods and services, you should pay that back. These debts that can be canceled are illegitimate, they're phony, they're bogus. The reason being that they never loaned anything. Nothing came out of their accounts. They're not harmed if it's not paid back. They inserted themselves into the middle of the transaction. Yes, you got goods and services from a merchant, but the lender contributed nothing. They're like the mafia, an international crime syndicate. They inserted themselves in the middle of the transaction, says, give me my cut. And that is what is happening worldwide. It is a scam of unbelievable proportions. We're just a few thousand people. People may say, why don't they shut you guys down? Because we're so small, We're so small. We've just been discovered by a few thousand people. We're not bringing down the entire industry. We're just helping people and families who said, you've been the answers to our prayers, because they used our letters. The debts went away. Their debts were eliminated. They don't have these debts anymore.
Now, I have a quick question about that. Obviously, there's always ramifications with everything. What type of ramifications can happen to somebody if they do this? Will it hurt their credit? Will anything come from it?
There have been a few cases where they put erroneous marks on people's credit reports, and then we assist them to get that removed. So we have affiliates who provide credit repair, some of the best in the country, but most of the time they don't, because we have our customers sending copies of all these dispute letters to the 3 credit reporting agencies with quotes from the law saying that if they don't do the right thing, they can be sued. And they usually do the right thing. So this is a legitimate dispute. It's not a default. And they can see that, and therefore, usually, most of the time, they'll do the right thing. They'll show it as either a settlement or a dispute, and it does not affect the credit score. I have many, many hundreds of friends and clients who have done this, to my knowledge, with no effect at all on their credit score. There should not be. There should not be any retaliation.
Interesting. Now, I know, because I've been through debt myself, and I know a lot of other people have, and there's, like you said, there's many ways of doing it. And there are some pretty bad ramifications, and unfortunately, sometimes that really stifles people from doing what they want to do and achieving what they want, where they want to go, and what they want to accomplish in life. And it's almost it almost chokes you out as much as the debt itself does in some certain cases. So, what's the importance of credit repair, and how does it work?
I'm not a credit repair expert, so I can't answer much about that other than to recommend companies that are excellent at it. And that's why I say we work in conjunction with them. For people who need it, we'll refer them out. But our specialty is the elimination of the debt in the first place. And we want to get that removed from any reporting on credit reports and so forth. And that's usually what we're able to achieve.
And I'm really fascinated by the fact that these companies aren't paying out any type of money, which is weird because, the merchant got paid, and so something had to come out somewhere. How does this all work? I mean, is it just money being like numerically put into their account to make it look like they have money, so that's why the money's not coming out? I mean, this is where I'm trying to grasp that, and it's a very interesting concept.
Our monetary system has gone through a lot of changes, as you know.
Mhm.
Back in 1700s, it was based on gold all through the 1800s into the early 1900s. These books and seminars and websites and bodies of education about the history show how the bankers from Europe tried very, very hard to get control of America, because America was the land of the free and the home of the brave and gold-backed currency and, liberty and freedom of religion and freedom of speech and all of that. And that was anathema to those who wanted to take over the world and control things. And they used to take over countries by military force. Well, that got kind of messy. And you got a lot of resistance. People don't like it. So they got more sophisticated and decided to take it over economically. Rothschild is famous for saying 300 years ago, "Give me control of a nation's currency and I care not who makes its laws." And so what they've done is gotten governments in debt, and then they get the governments beholden to them. And they say, well, if you want to pay it off, you'll have to tax your people and all that. So here we have a country that's not supposed to have income tax, and it has a very high one. There was no income tax all through the 1800s. Did you know the year 1900? Our Treasury had $1 billion surplus back when $1 billion was a lot of money. Where did that money come from if there had been no income tax? It came from property taxes, excise taxes, import-export taxes, corporate taxes. You don't need income tax to support a government in style. We have a private Federal Reserve. President Reagan, in office in 1983, when asked by the Grace Commission, where does our income tax money go? He said 100% of it is spent on interest payments to the Federal Reserve before one nickel is spent on the services that people expect from government. And so you have this to pay off the debt. Well, the federal debt is bogus and phony. There was a Green Beret by the name of Bo Greitz. He put a funny lecture on one time where he had created a 10-foot diameter coin, painted gold, and it said $18 trillion on it. He said, okay, they created the federal debt out of thin air, so we're going to pay it off out of thin air. Here's our $18 trillion to pay off the federal debt. So basically, it's a magic trick called Mandrake Mechanism. That's what's outlined in The Creature from Jekyll Island. Mandrake Mechanism means basically it's called fiat currency. In 1913, when the Federal Reserve was founded, they had sunk the Lusitania, they had sunk the Titanic to get rid of opposers to the Federal Reserve. And then they pushed it through Congress. They threatened and bribed congressmen, and then they pushed it through at Christmas when most of them had gone home. And they achieved their dream in 20 years, from 1913 to 1933. So in 33, they foreclosed on the U.S. government. It filed bankruptcy, and that was acknowledged in HJR 192, so House Joint Resolution 192 of June 5th, 1933, when basically the U.S. government was in the hands of the bankers. Now, this is a private cartel. They don't care about the Constitution because they're basically foreign interests and some domestic interests, but they're kind of an international cartel who are not loyal to any country, loyal only to their own agenda. And in 1933, that's what happened. So then we had the Depression and all that. So they own now the bodies, labors, and the property of the people. And the people are the backing for the money system. And they gradually got rid of gold as any backing. So it's called fiat, means, by dictatorship, money by dictatorship. So then they can siphon off the economy. They can do whatever they want with the money and get people in debt, just like they got governments in debt. And that's how they control people. The interesting thing, though, is it's a paper tiger. If you understand your individual sovereignty, you understand you have rights, not just privileges. You have the right to challenge anybody that has done an injustice to you, and you're actually helping the economy if you do this. For every American who implements this debt cancellation system, the economy is improved by that much, because when you were making your payments to the money lenders, the people benefiting most from those payments at the top of the banking hierarchy know full well that they created loans out of thin air and never loaned anything. So they're getting trillions of dollars in free extortion money, tribute to their private offshore islands, underground cities, secret space programs, private armies, weapons and drug trafficking, war making. That's where your money's going. and other nefarious activities. If you don't believe this, read those authoritative books and do your research. It's well documented. There's hundreds of books, websites, seminars revealing these things. So it's really no controversy. It's not really even a secret. It's just that most people haven't looked into it. But the word's spreading now. And if you want to take care of yourself and take practical action to protect yourself, move your money away from those venues, redirect it to help your family, help your children, help your education, your medical bills, improve your house. That's why you're improving the economy by stopping these payments to these entities.
Wow, this is fascinating. You know, and some of the stuff I knew about, I knew about the Federal Reserve, and I know that there's been a lot of controversy over how much gold and silver is actually in there because people are saying it's bankrupt, but I had no idea that this was that intense, and it actually, to me, it almost sounds like it's created socialism.
It sure has. Yes, it has. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So if somebody wants to do this, how could they find you to be able to go over the system, and go over the brief process of how somebody would get started with you?
Well, just go to brillianceincommerce.com, like the Brilliant Midday Sun, only with a C-E, BRILLIANCEIN, commerce, COMMERCE.com. So brillianceincommerce.com, and you'll see there we have our trust section and we have our debt elimination section called Liberty. Just click on whatever you're interested in and just read through that. If you have questions, read through the frequently asked questions. We have some videos to watch there. And if you have questions that are personal, that are not answered in the FAQ, send us a ticket. We have a contact us there, or call the number at the top of the screen, and we'll be happy to speak with you. We'll be also offered for listeners to your show a free interview for anyone who asks. We ask that you only read through, the material on the website first. And then if you have personal questions, you want to speak with someone, we'll be very happy to speak with you and interview you, and then see if this really will help you and satisfy what you need. That's pretty much it once you get the system. Oh, by the way, we have a free bonus as well for people who are already in so-called default. It's not really, but that's what they call it, and are being hounded by collectors. Collectors, believe it or not, are even easier pushovers than the pretender lender banks. And we have lots of ammunition to defeat the collection agencies, including, if they're calling you, a way to collect $500 to $1,000 per call. You just log those calls. We show you how to take it to small claims court. One guy made $20,000 in a month on all those collector calls. He says, I hope they keep calling. I need the money.
I like that. That's really
so it's once you've notified them in writing, we have you send it to registered mail that they are to cease telephonic communications. It is required by law that they must do so.
And quickly, kind of tell everybody about the time length that this kind of goes through. How long can they expect to see some results if they start to do the project?
Average 3 to 6 months. You start the process, you can stop making the payments immediately. Probably should, because if you keep paying them, they won't care. They don't care what you argue as long as they got money from you. So may as well start putting that money to good use and cease making those payments when you start the system. And then there'll be some back and forth correspondence. Like I said before, they'll probably argue at first. They kind of test you to see if you really know your stuff. All you do is just send the letters we provide. It's just putting your name and your account number and all that in there. It helps if you have Microsoft Word on your computer, whether you use Windows or Apple, Mac, and personalize the letters, send them off as instructed, and then just wait, for some back and forth for 2 or 3 months, and generally you'll see they'll start fading away. They'll start taking longer and longer to respond. When they don't respond anymore, that means you've won, because the only evidence, look, if it's phony and bogus, there's nothing really for them to cancel.
Right.
It's just a magic trick. It's just an illusion. So the only evidence that the debt exists is their collection efforts. So if that stops, the debt is eliminated legally.
Interesting. Well, Taansen, this has been a fascinating interview. I cannot believe all this is able to happen and make it pretty much painless, which is amazing because it's a very painful and stressful time, I know, for anybody that's been going through it. Thank you for coming on and sharing some knowledge with us, and I hope it will help change somebody's lives.
Thank you very much, and you're doing a great work there by putting these kind of things out on the air.
Well, thank you. All right, guys, we are going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got more, so don't go anywhere.
Limo Bob builds, sells, and rents the world's finest, longest, and most exotic limousines in the world. We provide every imaginable vehicle, from a 4-passenger town car to a 10-passenger Bentley Rolls and a Hummer for $20. We even have a one-of-a-kind 727 jet limo. And we offer a complete consulting package where Limo Bob comes to your location and shares 3 decades of experience in 3 days with you. Call 708-945-LIMO and visit limobob.com.
All right, guys, our next guest is Aaron James, and he's coming to us from Skype as well. Now, he is a musician, a singer, and songwriter, and he has just released his brand new full-length album called My Mystical MAJic Stick. Magic is M-A-J-I-C because it spells magic with his initials, Aaron James. Pretty interesting. I like that. I love that he's able to play on words and stuff like that. Now, he's performed for numerous presidents, and he is going to be talking to us about his career and his full-length album. So let's go talk to Mark, and we'll be right back after this. Hey, everybody. I would like to introduce you to our guest, who is Aaron James. He's a singer-songwriter, and he just released a brand new album called My MAJic Stick. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
All is well. It's actually my mighty magic stick.
Oh, my mighty magic. See, that's where I screwed up. I didn't read my own writing correctly. It's okay. So, this is pretty exciting. When did you get into being a singer-songwriter and composer and stuff?
Oddly, it's the only thing I've ever done. I always knew from when I was a kid this is what I was going to do. So when my parents made me go to college, like good parents do, but I enrolled in Vanderbilt University purely because it was in Nashville, Tennessee, and I knew that I could launch into music from there. So it's always been my job. I've never had a real one.
Well, see, that's
quote unquote.
That's really cool because, there's a lot of people that don't follow their passions and they have regrets later on in life. So it's nice that you were able to do it and you're making a career out of it, which is even better because you got to be having fun doing it.
I am insanely lucky. Sometimes I skip down the street.
So kind of give me an idea. When did you start songwriting? Was it a difficult process for you to start your first song?
Well, I actually wrote my first song when I was like 8 years old. It wasn't very good, but it was a real song. And then I was a big fan of Billy Joel when I was a little kid, so I really emulated him and kind of did copy Billy Joel songs. And then Nashville really taught me how to write correct, with real craft. Mm-hmm. They do Writers in the Round there, where you're sitting with 3 other writers, and if you're not, as good as they are, you're the bathroom break. So it really inspired me to get good at it.
What's one of the things that you have to be a good songwriter?
Sometimes I teach songwriting. What I always tell my students is you're trying to find a way to get that feeling that everybody goes, oh, I know that feeling, but say it in a way that hasn't been said before. So the world doesn't need another I Miss You song. But if you can say my toothbrush isn't in your bathroom anymore, then you've got something. So you're trying to capture that feeling, but in a new way.
Well, that's what I love about music is, it can heal. It can transport you throughout time. Really, it is a great time capsule because you can go back and reminisce about things that happened in the past that were maybe good, maybe sad, and it can really speak to you really when you need it. Have you found that with music yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of artists say that this is what I do instead of therapy, and without question, all of my songs are kind of coming. Even when they're fictional, they're coming from a place of I felt this, or this is how I'm expressing this feeling, and I have everything from, I'm probably more well known for funny songs, but I have a lot of emotional ones too. And even my funny song, my biggest song is a song called Aquaman's Lament, but really it's just a song about 2 guys being jealous of each other. Even though in this particular song it happens to be Batman and Aquaman, it's still informed from the same place.
That's really cool. What has been your biggest achievement in your songwriting career so far?
You know, I've had some really cool things happen. I've gotten to play in the London West End. I've gotten to play at the White House. But the things that always inspires me the most is sometimes I'll be Google searching for a link to one of my songs just to send to somebody else, and I'll see other people who I don't know who have sung them or are singing them on a YouTube video. Once I found out a ukulele tab for one of my songs, which means that somebody not only wanted to learn how to play one of my songs on the ukulele, but thought it was important enough to put it on the web so other people who play ukulele could play it. And I don't even play the ukulele. So little things like that make me feel like that I matter to somebody, that my songs are touching people in a way that they want to, express them as well.
So who did you play for at the White House? Which presidents?
I played for Obama in the White House,
Mm-hmm.
which was an amazing experience. They do 30 Christmas concerts every December, and I got invited to do one of those because the interns picked me as the person they wanted to have come play, and that was amazing. One of the best gigs I've ever had. And I also played for, that's quite a story, but I played for Donald Trump unintentionally, but a full show, and I did some covert activism at that one. I played a set list of cover songs. It was at a bonfire. Well, it's a long story, but basically I got hired to play at a bonfire for the members of one of his golf clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and it was when he first started running for president. It was during the Megyn Kelly is bleeding from somewhere incident. That day, he hid out on his golf club and came to my show. So I started playing a bunch. It was a bonfire, so I played very appropriate songs for a bonfire. I played James Taylor's Mexico. I played Crazy by Seal. I played 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. I played You're a Rich Girl and You've Gone Too Far. And nobody seemed to notice that all the song titles were kind of referring to the that particular audience member.
Wow, that's pretty cool, though. Nevertheless, I mean, it's so amazing to meet any president or any head of state, whether you agree with them or not. It is surreal in so many different ways. I got to meet Carter. I got to meet George H.W. Bush's wife Barbara. I got to meet Obama, and those are the only three that I've met so far. But hopefully I'll be able to get to see them all eventually.
Well, getting to rub shoulders with people who are actually making the history that we're going to read about later is always exciting.
It is exciting. So let's kind of get into. Let's try to get into your album here. I saw how you spelled MAJic, which is M-A-G, which actually is your initials, I believe.
M-A-J, yes.
Stick. That's pretty ingenious. Well, how'd you come up with something like that?
When I first started being a songwriter, my career started in Nashville, even though I don't really do country music. But a lot of fellow songwriters, everybody comes up with nicknames for you in whatever business you're in. If you're in your accountant, your money bags, or something like that, and people just started calling me Madge because my name, Mark Aaron James, kind of flows off the tongue, and the initials were Madge, and so it was just kind of a nickname I had amongst other songwriters. And then when I knew that this USB stick was going to be the format for this album, I wanted to make reference to it in the title song of the album. So when I wrote My Mighty MAJic Stick, it just seemed natural to use Madge as the spelling.
And that's another really cool concept that you came up with, as opposed to giving it out on CD or even LPs are coming back. The big old records are coming back. MP3s still are the way that seems everybody's going nowadays. It's so easy to get them off. Download them. You could put like 10,000 of them on a little device, and you can literally have everybody's album on there. Why did you decide to do it with a USB stick?
Well, like every musician, I've got stacks and stacks of CDs in my house now, and once now that we're all listening on devices and on our phones, the CD is kind of pointless after you've uploaded it. Add to that, a lot of the computers don't even come with CD drives anymore. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to think of a way, now that I'm recording a new album, how can I make this still relevant? When people come to my shows, they want to leave with something. They want to, take a memento of the show home. But now a CD is kind of not a useful memento. So I just started thinking about, what's universal. We're obviously entering a streaming culture now where people are going to just be uploading songs and listening to them streaming. So I was trying to figure a way to make the physical product matter again. A USB stick, even after you've uploaded the songs, this is a 2 gig USB stick. You can take whatever you want off of it, put whatever you want onto it. You can carry, put your own files on it. It also, the physical stick comes with a great, I've put out 9 albums now. So this stick is going to have like a 20-song greatest hits from my previous albums. So you can get 3 albums on a USB stick plus a 2 gig USB stick, all for the price of my new album. It just seemed like a no-brainer. I'm surprised somebody hasn't done it on a larger scale before this.
I am too, actually. And, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, because I was around for the old cassette tapes. I kind of was born around the 8-track era, but that was kind of like, I was too young for that. But I do remember when it went to CDs, and there was a big difference between a tape and a CD in price. I mean, I think tapes were like $9, $10, and CDs were like sometimes up into $20 until it got more popular. What is this type of album would run somebody if they wanted to get this album?
The physical album, when it first comes out, I think we're going to do around the $20. It's still kind of up in the air. Basically, if you went to Radio Shack and bought a 2 gig USB device, it would be around $10 already.
Right.
This one is shaped like a credit card. You can actually put this in your wallet. It's thin. It's half the width of an actual USB normally. It still fits in the USB slot, but it's shaped like a credit card, so it can fit in a woman's purse. It's something you could have conveniently on you all the time, along with having the music on it. So I think $20 is about right. Sort of what a new album release kind of costs now.
Sure.
Not to mention it's 3 albums.
Yeah, so that's definitely worth the money.
Plus the current album, plus the USB stick for around $20.
Yeah, that's definitely a bargain in itself. Tell us a little bit about the songs that you're putting on this particular album. The new stuff, not the older stuff that you kind of put on there. What's the story behind the music?
Well, I write for a lot of weird reasons. The single, My Mighty MAJic Stick, I wrote because I knew I wanted to do this USB idea. So we made some really funny puns. Obviously, with My Mighty MAJic Stick, there's a lot of funny puns available. And put it all together, but it turned out to be a really great, funky, old-style 70s horn section song, so I'm really proud of that. I also am kind of known for what's called folk music, which is like folk alternative acoustic pop rock stuff. And so we have one song on it called Badass Unicorn. Which is, when I was a kid, I used to be really into Greek mythology and stuff, and unicorns were like these warrior creatures. And now they're kind of like these pink My Little Pony stuffed animals. So I wrote a whole song where a unicorn defends his badassness. I wrote one song because I've got a song on there called Thursday Kinda Love, just because every day of the week has this great song about it, except for Thursday. So I decided Thursday deserved a good song. So there's a lot of, I'm being a musician, I'm not much of a morning person. So I wrote a song defending not being a morning person called The Early Bird. It's an interesting collection of songs. I wrote these songs specifically because I joined a group. There's a group here in New York, in Greenwich Village, called the Jack Hardy Songwriter Exchange. It's been around for 30, 40 years. Suzanne Vega's a member, Sean Colvin's a member of it. And basically they write a song every week, and then they all get together and just tear the songs apart, trying to make them better. Okay. And I had visited that group a couple times when I first came to New York, but I hadn't joined it again until this last year, and it really made me write a lot more and with a lot more critical eye. So these songs I'm really proud of.
That's cool. Do you have a particular song that you love more than any other one? I mean, even with my own artwork, there's always something that I seem to tend to, gravitate to because I like it more than the other ones, but I don't love them any less. I just like that one a little bit more.
I get it. I have an English degree, and I write from I'm always trying to entertain myself a little bit, so I've got a lot of songs that have hidden meanings or hidden alliterations or really clever tricks in them, along with what I think are being good songs. The songs that are my favorite tend to be songs that do that. I also like when things are funny, but then if you listen to them more, you realize they're serious. So, for example, like that Aquaman's Lament song I mentioned is a real favorite because it makes people laugh when they first hear it, but then they kind of get the deeper meaning of it later. Probably my favorite song of mine, though, is I wrote a song. I moved to New York, to this apartment, actually, on September 10th of 2001. So the next day was a big day, and I never thought I would touch that topic in a million years. But Rolling Stone had this amazing article called Somewhere Over Pennsylvania, where they interviewed everybody who got a phone call from Flight 93. And I ended up writing a song about that called Somewhere Over Pennsylvania. And I think it's the best piece of writing I ever did. And there were 16 songs that were inducted into the museum at the World Trade Center, and they asked me to put that song in there, so I was really honored by that. And that song it's still hard for me to play that song and not be moved by it. So I'm really honored that song came to me and that it's been accepted by the community that commemorates that day.
Sure. Now, with any artist, people, it doesn't matter if you're cooking, if you're writing, if you're music, if you got if you're doing fine arts or whatever, you always try to put something about yourself inside each song, each dish, each book that you write. You got to leave something about you, because that's really what it's all about, I think. What have you been able to do with for that in this particular album?
An interesting question. I tend to be kind of a geeky, introspective person, and also a bit emotional. And I think that the kind of music I make is sort of geek rock, introspective and yet funny stuff. So I don't know that I specifically am aiming. I'm always trying to express myself. I don't know that I'm secretly revealing anything, but because I had joined this group and the songs were being sung to a lot of other musicians, I think this album was more carefully written, because I knew that other musicians were going to critique it every week when I brought the songs in. But aside from that, I mean, I never want to reveal too much of which songs are completely true and which songs are completely fiction. Right. But all my albums are coming directly from my life and my experience. I try to be a little funny and I try and be a little meaningful. So this album is no different. It's I'm just proud of it.
Now, we got about 2 minutes left, so how can people find your album and follow your music, maybe see what shows you're going to be playing at?
Well, I'm really easily Googleable, Mark Aaron James. My website is markaaronjames.com, and there are links to everything else I do pretty much there, so you can find me on Facebook, which is Mark Aaron James Music, and Twitter, and all the other internet availabilities. So that's super easy to find me there. I'm also touring a lot. I also do a lot of, because I'm an acoustic musician, even when I play a big venue in a major city, I usually do house concerts somewhere near that city. So I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. In the first weekend of May when the album comes out. I'm doing a big release party in New York on May 9th, which is open to the public and free at the W Times Square. I'm really excited. I've never thrown a party in Times Square before. There's something every artist doesn't get to do.
That's true.
And I'll be touring all year. I pretty much travel all year after I put out an album. So if somebody wants me to come to their town, reach out to me, tell me where to play, or throw a concert in your living room. I'm up for it.
And before we go, one last question. What advice would you give to anybody that wants to be a musician in today's society, especially because it's changed so much from what we're used to with the days of Elvis, where you could get signed easily, and it was more abundant. Now it's more of an independent, type of circuit. Even though those contracts still exist, what type of information would you give to them to maybe inspire them a little bit?
Well, it's not enough to just be a great artist anymore. You have to be a great artist and kind of be proactive. You have to find the ways to get your stuff in front of people. Those house concerts are a good example of what I'm trying to do. You kind of have to make your opportunities now, because it has become a lot harder, and radio is only owned by a couple companies and focused on a specific market, more teen pop than anything else. So if you're making music you're proud of, you have to find your opportunities. If instead of trying to play at a bar, play it at your local laundromat. If instead of trying to get on the radio, find great Spotify playlists and blogs and opportunities like this one. You just gotta you gotta put both caps on. You gotta be the artist and you gotta be the go-getter.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your amazing experiences, and sharing your album that's coming out. And hopefully, we'll have a lot of people checking you out and following you around to your concerts.
I appreciate it. Please check out My Mighty MAJic Stick.
All right. Well, thank you, and we wish you all the best.
The AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV.
Welcome back, everybody. We have another edition of Man Reviews Stuff. I don't know what I'm going to be reviewing this time, but I guess it's going to be something pretty cool. Oh, somebody wouldn't be sending it to me to review, right? So let's go to Man Reviews Stuff and see what I'm going to be reviewing this week. And we'll be right back after this to close out the show.
In a world where all opinions matter, one opinion matters more, and that's his. Join Jason Dowd as he reviews movies, books, music, and anything someone wants his opinion on in this edition of Man Reviews Stuff. Now here is Jason Dowd.
All right, guys, I have a DVD I want to review with you today. It's called Woodlawn. Let me get it for you. This is a true life story about a high school that went through a lot of turmoil during the Civil Rights Movement. Now, as you remember, the Civil Rights Movement was from about the 1960s to the 1970s, where the blacks were integrated with the white schools. Now, when they did that, a couple of black players wanted to be on the football team. One was a running back, and he was amazing. Yet, because he took over the spot of another popular white child in that time, it caused a lot of rift. There was fighting. It actually, the entire team was going to be almost destroyed. But through the help of God and a chaplain that came in to try to help them find their rhythm and find their unity and find their strengths in their diversity, using God, they were able to accomplish amazing things. This is absolutely a true inspirational story. I highly recommend it, and if you are against racism as much as I am, this is a very, very powerful story. Go check it out. It's called Woodlawn. Welcome back, everybody. It is the end of the show already. I hope that you enjoyed our guest. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you were been inspired to go out there and try some type of artwork for yourself. There's so many varieties of art out there. I'll tell you what, try it. Challenge yourself. Always challenge yourself. And hopefully we've shown you some pretty cool places along the way throughout the years that you might want to go visit with your family. That's what this whole show is all about. Opening your eyes to brand new things. So, if you happen to miss anything, don't worry about it. Go to www.theamemagazine.com. It has our television, radio, and magazine all right in one place, so you can check out anything that we have up there. And if you've missed our radio show, please go check out our radio show. We are on every week on Friday and Saturday on WKLAP, Radio Love, and AM FM 247 Broadcasting Network. And we've had some amazing celebrities on there. I'll tell you what, some of the biggest names of people that I watched growing up and people that I've been watching even to this day on various ABC, NBC, CW, Lifetime, and all these other types of networks. You're going to love it. And hopefully they'll inspire you as well. We've also had some great artists and entertainers along the way as well. So go check us out, please. I know it's going to be worth your time. So until then, keep those creative juices flowing. We'll be back next time with some great people, great places, and hopefully some more information that I hope you'll find useful in your own life. And we'll see you on the road.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.